Hi, guys. My name is Maria Park, and this is Approach to Nerd. And I am here with my good friend, Kyle A. Bear, because we are going to talk about WandaVision episodes 1 and 2 from Disney Plus. And this is a spoiler review. So if you have not seen it, please watch it and then come back. All right. So, Kyle, what did you think about WandaVision?
Well, let's see. As soon as it went live at midnight over here on the West Coast, it posted. So the first two episodes, and I know we're only going to get one a week from here on out. So I watched them back to back, and I think my initial thought is, I know that there is something in the bigger picture happening here, so it's hard to give. It's weird. It's like, we're going to throw this your way and you're going to think it's this, but then we're going to slowly throw in some things to throw you off and make you think, okay, this is not what's really going on. So in one respect, I can say, oh, it's a cheesy sitcom, and they nailed that aesthetic. Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, of course, they're great actors, and they pop as their characters and everything. And they nail the super cheesiness of, Mary Tyler Moore, Bewitched, Dick Van Dyke, all the old school 50s sitcoms. You got the looks, you got the bad jokes, you got the laugh track. Oh my God. As soon as I heard a laugh track, it's like, oh, I mean, this is why I don't find myself watching the actual shows that they're basing this on. So, so you could say that they did an extremely competent job, if not totally just like, wow, impressive, making everything feel like it actually is happening back then. And then I got real excited, and this is how you catch people. You put the little teaser kind of at the end, and then you're excited to see where it goes, especially if you're going from something that's 100% in black and white, and then slowly over time it'll here's something in color, here's a couple more elements in color. I really do think, though, the first two episodes could have been one. There's a lot that, at least out of context, it just seems kind of like, well, is anything going to happen in the show? Because it's just this is kind of redundant. They're just kind of lather, rinse, repeat, which is the formula of old sitcoms. But I don't know. To me, it just seemed like you could combine those two. And I know that they're going for roughly a half hour, runtime for each episode. But even then, you can almost feel the writers going, what do we pad with? we want to keep this going. How many episodes we have to carry this on? It's like, I wanted to see, okay, you see the little icon in the sword, and the little golly, there's a lot of cool things. The fake watch commercial with the Hydra logo in small print on
Yep. I love the toaster that had it was from Stark Industries in the first commercial.
Stark Industries. Yeah. It's important to tie it all together. And, now that we've heard that, Scarlet Witch will be in Doctor Strange, and that movie has been rumored to be all about the multiverse. Of course, this will be a multiverse thing. And why shouldn't it? They've opened everything up the way that Star Trek did with J.J. Abrams. It's like, okay, there's this timeline, but there's also these timelines. So Why not? Let's bring people back. Let's kill them again. Let's, well, and all that.
I feel like this is definitely the House of M storyline, but modified. Because in the original House of M, Wanda gets pregnant with what people assume are Vision's children, but they're actually a villain called Mephisto. He's one of the villains I can't stand, because he's in this One More Day storyline. It's with Spider-Man, and I call it One Crap Day. I hate the storyline. I hate it. I don't know what Joe Quesada was thinking, but Mephisto is literally the reason that I hate that entire storyline, the whole rebunked version of Spider-Man. So in House of M, he kind of splits his soul, or I think it's his solar spirit becomes like these shards, and they go into Wanda's unborn twins. And his whole thing is he wants Wanda to get pregnant so he can get his shards back, or part of himself back, so he gets the kids. And it drives her insane. And that's the reason that she whispers, no more mutants. Well, they can't say mutants because we don't have mutants yet in the MCU. So my theory is that all of these events are still going to, occur, because if you remember at the end of episode 2, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Instead of her whispering no more mutants, she more than likely will be saying something like no more magic. And that is going to tie into Doctor Strange's movie.
Oh, okay. Because you remember when Fox was separate from Disney, and on the X-Men stuff and all those tie-ins, you could say mutants, and then Marvel
Yeah.
couldn't.
And then you couldn't, yeah. And we know we're getting X-Men and Fantastic Four, I think, are being incorporated both into MCU. So we are going to see mutants.
And
But
Deadpool, yeah.
we don't have mutants. And technically Wanda was a mutant and she wasn't a mutant. So it's like in the MCU she was never, but in the comics it's been all over the place. So
Mm.
yeah, but since they have not introduced any of the mutants yet,
Hmm.
unfortunately, we can't say no more mutants because it wouldn't make sense because we don't have mutants yet in MCU. So it can affect them. But
Okay.
because of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, there's actually a comic book run where he loses his powers. And
Mm.
he basically flies throughout space and time, meeting all of these different aliens and all these different species to relearn magic, like how they use magic. And the only reason that I think my theory has sort of weight to it is because America Chavez, who's from an alternate reality, the utopian parallel, is being introduced in Doctor Strange too. So that would be an interesting tie-in, and I think that that would be an interesting thing because Wanda has like her power is to manipulate reality. That's why when we saw in the second episode, when they heard the noise outside and they see the beekeeper guy coming out of the street, the vent in the street, she's like, no. And then they go, she basically makes them reverse in time. And then it's the whole reality shifts again and they're in color.
Right. So you bring up a good point that, if there are people out there that have not dipped their toes in the Marvel pool, this show is completely confusing and is not a good way to start. It's like, here, let's start with Iron Man, for example. Let's just go back to 2008 and catch you up through all this. And so if you want to say bullet point review,
Yeah.
not for the newly initiated. I
Yeah,
think
if you haven't read House of M, or at least, and remember, it hasn't been confirmed that it's House of M, but it's House of M. But I guess it's a little confusing. Like you'll see if you're not really versed also in the comics, or if you haven't really paid attention in some of the other MCU movies, then you would have known the sword logo is pretty much all over the place. We see the sword helicopter, we see the logo like many times.
right.
Mephisto, the reason I think it's Mephisto is because two of the characters both name dropped the devil, and Mephisto is the devil in the Marvel universe.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm pretty certain Mephisto is the old baddie. I know. I actually I was in Discord with a few guys, and they were just throwing theories around, and we were talking about in the very opening of the second season or second episode of WandaVision, they have like the little animated opening, and then you see them sitting on the couch, and then it looks like Vision's kind of basically going through the floor, and then you see like the skeleton bones. There's a spider web, and then there looks like the Reaper's helmet is sitting on the ground too. So a lot of people are also like, well, maybe it's Reaper because Reaper has a big hate for Vision. So I could see that also playing out. And I'm not saying that I don't think he's not in it. I think there's probably potential to have a lot of different villains in this, but I think the overall baddie is Mephisto.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
The theme song was kind of an earworm. That's like, this is annoying, and then I start after it's over, I'm like still singing it to myself. Like,
yeah, that happens
crap,
all the time.
worked.
That happens all of the time.
The cartoon was totally the Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie sort of feel to it, and yeah.
What I loved about this though, also, it kind of felt like you were watching two different things. You were watching the mystery. The Sword is watching. You can see somebody in Sword is watching all of this, so we know that something's going on, in this little world that Wanda, I feel, has created. But you hear the voice saying, Wanda, who did this to you? Like, and then you see people just freeze, like have this look on their face, like, where the hell am I? But at the same time, you have this really cool, homage to like Bewitched and all these other like classic TV shows, like from TV land, that is so funny to watch because the chemistry between Wanda and Paul is amazing. They play off each other very well.
Right. Right. So you think there was a specific reason that they would emulate this aesthetic?
Um, well, if I'm playing devil's advocate of Wanda's motivation, one of the safest places might have been like a 1950s TV show. I mean, nothing bad ever happens, right? If you're trying to escape, you go to Utopia, you go to Pleasantville. So I would think that that would be the first thing that she would conjure up, because of surely if they can't be safe in a place that's completely safe and nothing, the worst thing that ever happens is your boss comes over and you can't make dinner correctly, then where will you be safe? So I do think that that is more of a Wanda's safety psychological area for her. Like, I mean, I know she's from at a section of the world where there is war and her parents unfortunately were killed. And, you know, she was basically taken in by Hydra and experimented on. So she really hasn't had a safe space growing up. So,
Right.
of course, a 50s television show. Of course, I mean, nobody's trying to take out Lucille Ball. I'm just saying.
In Sokovia, TV watches you, you know.
Well, I mean, technically, I mean, they probably, to be fair, they probably didn't have a TV. She probably didn't even see these 50 shows until she was with Vision, you know, in Civil War. But, you know, whatever. And then, of course, the one person that kept her safest for her was always Vision. So even though he passed an Endgame, he's in her reality, which I think will also play into her going crazy, because she would have to give up the person that she loves the most. Now I wonder though, will we get Quicksilver back?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, because if this is really her doing it, that would be also her Utopia.
Yeah.
So yeah. But another thing that I noticed, you know, Agnes, who is absolutely effing hilarious, the neighbor that keeps coming over and getting in her business.
Town ho.
Yeah, pretty much. So in the comics, there is a character that used to babysit for the Reeves, and she is named Agatha Harkness. She's actually a witch, and she becomes kind of like a mentor-ish person to Wanda. And eventually when Wanda snaps, she kills her. Now she's a lot older in the comics, but I bet my life and my money that is Agatha.
Okay.
So, which is interesting. It seems like all of these characters that have potential connections to her are the people that are closest to her. So I thought that was cool. And then this person, I don't think has a connection at all, except for that she was in that 70s show. But I love the fact that I cannot remember the actress's name, but the one that played Eric's mother in that 70s show was hilarious when she was in the dinner. She played Mrs. Hart.
Okay.
Yeah. In that scene, I thought that was really, really funny.
Something I thought that would pay off earlier, but I don't think is really come to fruition is, okay, so when the boss is there, they're having dinner, and then he starts choking. It got really sinister. It's like, uh-oh, this is where the reality is going to crumble. And then, you know, the wife is just, oh, you know, over and over again. It's like, but then it didn't really do anything. Vision rescues him, and it just goes back to the same thing. It's like, is that going to go anywhere? The wife.
See, that's what I was thinking too. But then when she kept saying, wasn't she saying like, just stop it, just stop it, stop it? It went from playful, just stop it, to like kind of like panicked. But whoever is controlling them, be it whether it's Wanda or whoever, you know, Mephisto, whatever, whenever they talk out of turn, that's when things start going weird. Like he started choking after he said, just answer the question. Why are you here? Where'd you come from? And then he started choking. And it's like somebody did that to him. And I think on some level, when they have moments of panic or something like interferes with whatever's controlling them, that's when the reality shifts. So that's why I thought that Mrs. Hart, she did start off playful, but then she actually had that kind of panic look on her face. Like, just stop it. Like she's not talking to him. She's talking to whoever's doing it to him. And then they were like, oh, we need to leave. So yeah. I kind of took it that way. Just like when, I can't remember her name, you know, Anya from Buffy, Emma Caulfield, her character just went right out of my head. The one that controls everything in the town that you need to impress. The scene after the meeting where she cuts her hand, you know, and she's like, they're listening to the radio and she's like, where am I? Who are you? You know, that's an indication that there are a lot of people in this reality that were forced in this reality. And I think the kicker is, I think it's actually Wanda doing it.
Oh, wow. That sounds fun.
Yep.
I'm down
um,
with that.
now I loved in that same scene with the meeting that we've got to see Tiana Parrish. She's going to be Monica Rambeau, but she plays a character named Geraldine, because when Wanda said, "Oh, what's your name?" she pauses for a second and then she says, "Geraldine." And I was like, it's almost like she had to make it up on the fly. And I'm
Oh, that's
like,
a good catch. Good
yeah.
catch.
And in the trailer, you see the extended trailer for WandaVision, there's a scene where they're in color. So we know we're
Yeah.
going to see Geraldine again, and we're probably going to see all of them again.
Yeah.
And she's going to say, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I don't know." And
Mm.
so, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like, we know all of this is connected. We know that Spider-Verse, or I call it Spider-Verse. It may not be Spider-Verse. It's probably Spider-Verse. We know Spider-Man 3 is also going to be affected by WandaVision and Doctor Strange too. So anything that deals with the multiverse is going to be affected. And I was talking in Discord, and one of the things I questioned was, we're getting Hawkeye, the TV series. So we have Clint and we had Kate Bishop being introduced. And remember in Endgame, and he had a family, he had a wife and he had kids, but in the comics that wasn't a thing. And so I feel like the reality shift may affect everybody else's world. Like if you're a CW fan, kind of like when they had Flashpoint, and all of a sudden Diggle's son became a daughter. We were joking about that today, and all the stuff that got changed. I feel like it may do the same with people in the MCU. I feel like things are going to be altered because of what Wanda does.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I am very, very excited. And the babies that she has in House of M also play into the Young Avengers, which is also being rumored, because we already have America Chavez and Kate Bishop. So her twins are boys. One's Wiccan and one's Speed, and both of them are also Young Avengers.
Wiccan. I voiced Wiccan in the Marvel Online game a few years ago.
That's crazy. That's awesome. But yeah, so Wanda was your mama.
Hello, mama.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. So like, there's so many things that they could be tying in with Young Avengers. So many things are tying in with, if we have Shield, then Sword, then we have the Secret Invasion. So we have all of these things tied in, and we knew they would. Yeah, we knew they would.
Right. There's one, I guess, potential franchise still hanging in the balance, right? The Eternals.
Yeah.
With Angelina Jolie and all that, because I don't know. It's just in the ether now with the, pandemic. We don't know. Is it going to come out theatrically? Is it going to come out,
Yeah.
Where does that fit into the whole?
I kind of hope that they do the Wonder Woman route with everything and just VOD at first, because
yes, I do too.
and just pop it on Disney Plus at no extra cost, like they did with it, what HBO Max did with Wonder Woman, and we will love you forever. I was talking with Blurred Without Fear earlier, and he was saying he would have loved it instead of them making movies, if they just dedicated all of their time and efforts to just doing shows that are all interconnected, because I feel like they could have gotten them done quicker, and a lot more content across the board would have been had, and made Disney Plus type, even if it's like a mini series, or if you just want to do a movie, do it for Disney Plus and not have to worry about it. Because the more you push this, the more it has the ability to affect your franchise in a way. Because if we're looking at this series and then we want to have the conclusion in Doctor Strange 2, but then what if we don't get Doctor Strange 2 on time because COVID is still rampant, which where I live, it's very true. So, I'm not trying to rush to the theaters anytime soon. And if they're dedicated to people being in a theater setting to see this, that is going to be a detriment, in my opinion. But
right. Yeah. And, in the past 10 years plus, you've seen, the movies being the ultimate echelon of where to go as an actor. It's like, I want to be this. I don't want to do TV. And then TV started getting better. Cable shows, especially, they kicked that off. And then the quality of all this, and now all the Netflix originals and all this stuff, it's like, wow, TV is the new movie, because you can take the time. You're not constrained by 2 hours or whatever. You can take a season to massage the characters and build the story up. And it's like, you're stuck at home anyway. So maybe that's the thinking behind the marketing guys at Marvel going, let's make 50,000 shows that people have to watch all of them to see how they connect.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. One thing I've always loved about Marvel or MCU is they plan ahead. Like I love DC as well, but they do not plan correctly. They don't. They have very cool characters that they do not do anything well with.
Mhm.
To be fair, I did like Shazam. Aquaman was not that bad. I loved the first Wonder Woman movie. The second one wasn't bad, but wasn't good. It was in between, but what we got with Batman versus Superman and Justice League was just horrible. And I'm looking forward to Zack Snyder's cut, but MCU just seems to be like, we have a plan. We're going to get to this point and then we're going to extend it to this point, and everything just kind of lines up. And that it's great. I just want that to continue, because if we have to wait for Doctor Strange 2 to see the aftermath of what happens with WandaVision, or to be fair, what if Doctor Strange events happen before WandaVision? We don't know the timeline. We don't know. but it's going to be a shame, because the timeline will be thrown off again. And yes, we're all going to see it and we're going to love it. But it's like, the way they have it lined up timing wise, it's like you don't have to wait a very long time to get the next story. So I'm really worried about that. But
I remember
yeah.
years ago with all the X-Men movies, you would have a field day tearing them apart, saying, this is how it happened in the comic, and they totally screwed it up in the movies. They now are at a place where it's like, let's just start over.
Yeah.
We got a
should
clean
have done it
slate.
to begin with. Bryan Singer should have never gotten that script. I'm sorry. The very first, or never done it. Like my running joke for Bryan Singer X-Men movies is he has a dartboard with names and he just throws it. He's like, I don't know who this character is, but who's that? Oh, okay, that's Logan. Okay, and that's Scott Summers. Oh, he's Cyclops, right? Does he have one eye? I don't know. Let's put him in there too. Let's just make them campy, use their powers, and people hate them. Script. like no continuity. No, we don't care that Jubilee and Shadowcat were aged and their powers altered, throughout every movie. They were aged and de-aged and then aged and de-aged and aged and de-aged. And now, oh, this character's dead. Not anymore. Professor X was killed. Nah, it's fine. We'll just let him walk in the room. Bam, he's alive again.
Storm has an accent. Storm doesn't have an accent.
Yep. Oh, it's just crap. They're crap. And no. I didn't mind First Class, but the rest of them just majorly sucked. So I don't know. No offense to the actors. Some of them actually were cast very well. It's not their fault. I like Anna Paquin as an actress, but what they had her do as Rogue was just stupid. That is not the Rogue we know. And that's not even a comic book thing. If you've only seen the animated series, you know that is not Rogue. Rogue is, badass, Southern, super strong, flying, amazing woman that basically whined and didn't want to touch people through every Bryan Singer movie. So pointless, just pointless. And don't get me started on Storm. So,
fair enough.
But yeah. So overall, though, I really did enjoy this, and I know that going forward we only get one episode. And I know I was looking at the cast list, and I do see that some of the people that we had in previous MCU properties are going to be in this one. Like we have Randall Park as Jimmy Woo. And, he basically is Ant-Man's FBI. Like, he was the FBI checking guy, the crack jokes. Now, in the comics, Jimmy Woo is awesome, but they kind of downplayed him MCU. Kat Dennings is in the cast as Darcy from Thor. So she's going to be back. So that's cool. There's a few people that I'm seeing that are going to be in here in some capacity, which kind of makes sense in a way, and kind of like doesn't, because I know some of them Wanda's never come across. So like with Darcy, I don't think Darcy's ever come across anyone outside of the Thor universe. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I was digging it. So I'm looking forward to episode 3.
So yeah, it's weird. It was like, as I'm watching this and all the cheesy bad jokes and the laugh track and all that, I'm just like, can we just get to the plot? Let's just come on. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm excited. Okay, I got this. Let's move on. And it just didn't move on as fast as I wanted it to.
Well, because it's the 50s right now. See, maybe in the 60s, weed is more prevalent, so now it's going to go fast.
Yeah. And then it'll be like then they'll make a crime show, right? There'll be NCIS and
Yeah, I know they're well, no, I know they're doing a Brady Bunch type thing. So that's gonna be the next one. I don't remember what the third incarnation is. I have to go back and look. But yeah, definitely, we have the whole Mary Tyler Moore Bewitched, season these 2 episodes, and the next one, The Color, is definitely gonna be more Brady Bunch. And then whatever they roll to next. But again, I think these are all conjurings of the reality shifts in Wanda's mind. So if it's slow pace for her, it's because that's what she wanted it to be, because she felt safe until whatever's bothering her is getting into her reality again, and she has to shift it again. So yeah, it's a fascinating concept. So yeah,
it's very interesting. I was on board as soon as I saw the original preview. It's like, okay, a sitcom, okay, that can't be what it's actually going to be. I think that's the framework that it's like, oh no, the bigger picture is more like this. It's more sinister. And it's like, all right, I'm down. Like, again, I can say that I'm excited to see where it goes, but I can truthfully say, if you're a newbie to the Marvel universe, don't start here.
Yeah.
It will turn you off, because tonally it is nothing like what Marvel has ever done before. So either it can be seen as brave or experimental, or it's like, this is the creative juices flowing, and we'll see what the payoff is.
Yep. And it's still, again, it is entertaining, and then having all the clues appear in color, that's pretty cool. So you do get that mystery, but it is definitely for people who don't like the 1950s, TV land type TV shows. You might be put off a little bit by it, but I loved it, because I think it's definitely something new, and I feel like they pulled it off, and I'm really excited to see how they do episode 3. Yeah. So that is our review, guys. I'm going to have Kyle on again with me, and we're going to talk about his career in Dragon Ball and all of the other cool shows and video games that he's been in, and probably do some anime what ifs. So that would be cool. That is a future video coming up. And if you would like to sign up for Jury Duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next in Nerd Bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, we can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.